In England in the middle of the night, 3 animal rights activists break into the Cambridge Primate Research Centre, where chimps are being experimented on with videos of human rage, violence, and destruction. As the activists start taking pictures, a scientist finds them and rushes to call security. The group stops him just in time and captures him, so the scientist begs them not to do anything because the chimps are infected with a highly contagious and very dangerous virus called rage. However, the activists don't take him seriously and release one of the chimps, who immediately attacks and bites a woman with unbound fury before one of the others kills it. While the other chimps go crazy in their cages, the woman begins vomiting blood on the floor and at his friend's face. The scientist says they must kill her, but it's too late. She transforms into a zombie and attacks all the people in the room. 28 days later, Jim wakes up from a coma in an empty hospital. He leaves the room and wanders around looking for people, but he doesn't find a single soul, just chaos everywhere. After grabbing some drinks from a vending machine, he leaves the building to explore London, finding the city in the same condition. No people at all, but lots of destruction. When he finds a newspaper, he learns that Britain has gone through a mass exodus, and on a huge bulletin board he finds thousands of missing people signs. Eventually Jim enters a church, where he finds creepy messages on the walls. When he reaches the main room, he's shocked to see it's full of rotten bodies. He says hello and a few people suddenly move, staring at him with blank faces. At that moment the priest comes out, but he's a zombie and tries to attack Jim, who hits him with his bag full of cans. The priest is unbothered and tries to chase him, so Jim runs away. The other zombies also leave the church and start chasing Jim, who runs as fast as he can until he reaches a gas station. There, survivors Mark and Selina begin throwing Molotov bombs at the zombies to burn them up, and once Jim is safe with them, they throw a bomb at the gas station to blow it up. Afterward the duo takes Jim to their hideout, which is an abandoned sweet shop in the London Underground. When Jim tells them he had been in a coma because of a car crash, Selina explains that a highly contagious virus escaped from a research center and continues to spread uncontrollably, turning people into zombies and collapsing British society. Most of the population is now dead or affected, the army was overpowered, and the government doesn't exist anymore. Jim wants to go to his parents' home to check on them and ignores Selina's warnings that they most likely are dead, so she and Mark agree to go with him to stick together. In the morning, the trio carefully makes their way across a very empty London and safely arrive at Jim's old home, where a devastated Jim discovers his parents self-deleted to avoid becoming zombies. They even left a note for him saying don't wake up. As Jim cries, Selina and Mark tell him he should be grateful his family died peacefully, because they had to watch their own families become monsters. They spend the night in that house but Jim can't sleep and decides to look at old family videos. The light he's turned on gives his location away and suddenly 2 zombies jump through the window to attack him. As Jim struggles to defend himself, he screams and gets the attention of Mark and Selina, who immediately jump to action and defeat both creatures with brutal yet efficient ferocity. Then Selina makes sure Jim wasn't bitten and didn't get even a drop of blood in his mouth. Unfortunately the injured one is Mark, whose arm wound is covered with zombie blood. Without hesitation, Selina hacks Mark to death with her machete before announcing they must leave because more zombies will come. After washing up, changing clothes, and gathering all the supplies they can find in the house, Jim and Selina leave the area, and Selina warns Jim that if someone is infected they must be killed immediately, no matter if it's a relative or a friend. Later they see flashing lights coming from an apartment nearby and go to investigate. The building is in a sorry state and the lobby is full of trolleys, but the duo just climbs over them to reach the stairs. There are several floors to climb, and when they stop to take a break, they hear screeching from zombies that have entered the building. They also jump over the trolleys to take the stairs, so Jim and Selina begin climbing faster as the zombies come after them. After going up a few floors, they freeze when they find the way blocked by a man wearing protective gear, who gives them the number and location of his apartment. The guy stays to fight the zombies, stopping them with a shield while he beats them up with a bat. The duo makes it to the apartment, but the girl inside doesn't open the door until the man comes back in one piece. Once everyone is inside, Frank and his daughter Hannah introduce themselves, giving the duo a warm welcome. This is the apartment with all the lights, and Frank is glad his signal has finally brought over some company. The next day, Frank shows Jim all the buckets he has on the roof, explaining that it hasn't rained in a while. Resources get scarcer every day and at this rate they won't be able to stay in this apartment for much longer. Then Frank shows Jim and Selina a repeating military radio broadcast that claims that soldiers are offering other survivors protection outside Manchester and even promising the answer to the infection. Frank wants to travel there but Selina is skeptical, saying it's probably a trap or an old recording that doesn't hold true anymore. Hannah offers a heartful speech and convinces everyone is worth the risk. Then the group takes Frank's taxi to travel to Manchester, taking all the supplies they can carry. As they travel through London, they see all the destruction and the bodies on the streets. When they try to cross a tunnel, the way is blocked by bodies and crashed cars, but Frank decides to just drive through it and push it away. They actually manage to cross the mess, however the car suffers a flat tire in the process. When the group comes out to change the tire, they hear a very weird sound and suddenly see hundreds of rats running toward them, which makes them realize the zombies are coming. There's no time to use extra tools, so the adults lift the car while Hannah changes the tire. They can see the shadows of the zombies approaching and soon they're jumping over the crashed vehicles, but the group finishes changing the tire just in time and manages to drive away. Afterward they keep driving for a few hours and when they make it to the countryside, they stop at a burger shack to take gas from an abandoned truck. Curious, Jim decides to enter the building and finds a dead family. Suddenly he's attacked by a zombie child, and he has no choice but to kill him to survive. Then they continue to travel through the countryside, which still looks beautiful. When they stop for dinner, they watch horses run around without a care for the world. Selena admits that this was better than she expected, and even kisses Jim on the cheek. That night, the group stays in an old castle in ruins. Hannah and Jim can't sleep and wake up Selena to ask how she does it, so Selena shares her medicine with them. In the morning, Jim wakes up and discovers he's alone, so he begins panicking. However, Frank wakes him up, revealing it was just a dream. The next day, the group resumes their journey and can see Manchester burning in the distance. Eventually they find the blockade from the message, but while there are military trucks and equipment, it's all empty. Selena thinks they should leave, but Frank refuses to admit defeat and continues to search the area. He grows so angry that when he hears a crow nearby, he kicks the wall it's on to make it go away. The crow had been feeding on a zombie and when it moves, it causes a drop of blood to drop into Frank's eye. Knowing what's about to happen, he tells Hannah he loves her and asks her to stay away from him. Hannah still tries to approach him, and as the virus reacts, a furious Frank pushes his daughter away. Then he moves back as he starts transforming, so Selena tells Jim to kill him while she holds Hannah down. Jim doesn't want to hurt a friend and freezes, but luckily they're saved by the sudden arrival of some soldiers who shoot Frank down in seconds. Afterward the soldiers take Jim, Selena, and Hannah to a secured mansion in the woods where a few surviving soldiers have set up a new base, fortifying the place against zombies. The leader Major West welcomes them and offers them food and a shower. Once they've settled down, Hannah is left napping and Selena has a breakdown in front of Jim. He tries to comfort her with a kiss and at first Selena kisses back, but when she realizes what's happening she leaves the room. Then Jim goes to Major West to ask about the answer to the infection that the radio message mentioned. It turns out they don't have a cure. West considers his answer to be all the extra security plans they've installed around the house and the supplies in the kitchen. West also reveals he even has captured a zombie soldier, who is being kept chained up in the mansion's courtyard for study. Jim thinks it's cruel, but West says he wants to learn what it takes to starve a zombie to death, which may be the real answer they need. In the evening, Jim's group has dinner with the soldiers, and they're a bit creeped out by their harsh macho behavior. West wears his full uniform and insults the guy who made dinner for making a mistake. He also assumes Hannah can take over kitchen duties. Suddenly the alarm rings, so all the soldiers run outside to defend the mansion from the incoming zombies. The men quickly get to their assigned positions and open fire, killing dozens of zombies and creating some big explosions with their weaponry that defeat their enemies in just a few minutes without breaking a sweat. When the soldiers come back inside, Mitchell tries to take advantage of Selena, so Jim tries to push him away. Because of his training, Mitchell easily overpowers him, and Sergeant Farrell has to hit him to make him stop. At that moment West arrives and tells everyone to go clean the bodies, then he has a talk with Jim in private. West explains that a few days ago, he found a soldier called Jones about to self-delete because there was no future. To bring back hope, West promised his men he would bring them women to repopulate after starving the zombies to death. That's why he sent out the radio message. Horrified, Jim rushes to grab Hannah and Selena and tries to leave with them, but they're immediately knocked down and captured by the soldiers. Farrell tries to defend them because he disagrees with West's plan too, only to get captured as well. Jim and Farrell are locked up together, and Farrell mentions that the infection couldn't have crossed the seas, so most likely the rest of the world is just fine and they're only quarantining Britain to keep the infection on the island. Hearing this gives Jim hope. In the morning, Mitchell and Jones take the prisoners to the forest to be executed next to a pile of bodies. Farrell calls them out for turning on their own sergeant and an argument ensues. Jones wants to shoot them to make this quick, but Mitchell wants to stab them and enjoy it. A desperate Jones shoots anyway, killing Farrell but also hurting Mitchell in the arm. While Mitchell jumps on Jones to yell at him, Jim uses the chance to disappear. As soon as the soldiers notice they go looking for him, but it turns out Jim has been pretending to be a body on the pile. Then Jim manages to escape by jumping over the wall, leaving his shirt behind. The soldiers see this and decide to leave him be, thinking he can't survive the zombies that wander beyond the walls. As Jim escapes into the woods, he suddenly trips and falls, causing him to look up. To his surprise, he sees a jet flying by, meaning Farrell's theory that the rest of the world is fine is correct. In the mansion, the soldiers want to put Selena and Hannah in pretty dresses to prepare them for a night of breeding. Selena tries to fight against them to no avail, so she changes tactics and kisses a soldier, flirting as she asks him to give them some privacy to change in peace. The soldiers accept and after they leave the room, Selena gives Hannah some of her medicine to make the experience less traumatic for her. The soldier overhears this and rushes back inside, but before he can do anything, they hear the alarm going off again. It turns out Jim is at the blockade and sounding the alarm on purpose. Soon West and another soldier arrive and start searching the area, so Jim carefully sneaks around and ambushes the soldier to knock him down. When West realizes his partner is missing, he looks around and finds him dead in his Jeep, so he opens fire without aim just in case. Then he tries to leave in the Jeep but it's been disabled, and at that moment a zombie jumps on top of the vehicle. West immediately shoots him down before coming out of the Jeep to also kill all the other incoming zombies. Once he's done, he runs back to the mansion. Meanwhile Jim also returns to the mansion and with the weapon he stole from the Jeep, he frees the chained zombie, who immediately jumps through the window to attack the soldiers guarding the girls. While Selena uses the chance to drag Hannah away, the zombie vomits blood on a soldier and then starts chasing after Jones. The first soldier now becomes a zombie as well. Selena and Hannah try to leave the house, only to be blocked by Mitchell. Suddenly Jones runs by with the zombie behind him, so Mitchell sends a soldier after them while he takes care of the girls. Jones manages to hide in the kitchen and when the zombie is about to get him, Mitchell's friend appears to shoot him, only to be jumped on by the new zombie and get infected too. Jim happily watches all this through the window, and inside a cupboard, Jones cries because he can't help. After the zombies leave, Jones tries running away, however Jim finds him and kills him on the spot. Then Jim goes inside a secret door to hide from the zombies, who take the stairs instead. Upstairs, Hannah manages to run away from Mitchell and enters the changing room to find a picture of her dad among her things. When she hears a zombie coming, she hides behind a mirror just in time. The zombie gets confused by his own reflection and leaves. Back to Jim, he runs around the mansion looking for the girls and enters a room where he finds a soldier hiding because he has no bullets. Jim ignores his begging for help and jumps out the window, leaving the soldier to be eaten by the zombies. By running the roof, Jim sees the room where Mitchell is about to take advantage of Selena and enters through the window. Mitchell immediately takes Selena hostage, but Jim still jumps on him and makes him let go of Selena before attacking him quite furiously. Mitchell doesn't get to struggle much before Jim smashes his head against the wall and then throws him on the floor to crush his eyes. Horrified by this violence, Selena grabs her machete and almost kills Jim thinking he's a zombie too, but her hesitation allows Jim to prove he's fine and the two of them kiss. Suddenly Hannah hits Jim with a vase, also thinking he's infected. Thankfully Jim is fine and the trio immediately runs out of the building, but when they approach Frank's taxi, they find West inside. Saying he wants revenge for his men, West shoots Jim, so Hannah quickly drives the taxi backward into the building. The previously chained zombie breaks the back window and drags West out to get his own revenge, and Hannah immediately takes off picking up Jim and Selena on her way out while the zombie kills West. The gates that surround the mansion are locked, but Hannah just drives through them anyway. Jim's memories of what happens afterward are blurry, but he remembers Selena giving him CPR in a hospital and begging him to live. 28 days later, it's shown that the trio has been living in a cottage in the countryside. Selena has been working hard on sewing lots of fabric and when they hear a plane fly by, the trio rushes outside with the fabric, revealing she made giant letters that spell hello. The plane sees this and turns around to rescue them. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching. In Britain, a terrible zombie virus escapes from a lab and spreads through the population, causing thousands of deaths. Don and his wife Alice, who has different colored eyes, manage to hide in a remote countryside cottage with a few other survivors, Jeff, Sally, Jacob, and Karen. Alice and Don have 2 children and are glad they sent them on a school trip to Spain because they're safe there. One day while the survivors are having lunch, they hear someone desperately pounding on their door and begging for help. Don doesn't like the idea of opening the door to strangers, but Alice points out it's a kid's voice and convinces him to let him in. They feed the boy while he shares his story. His parents became zombies and have been chasing him with a horde. The boy had to run all the way here from a neighboring town. Meanwhile Karen is worried about her boyfriend, who left a few days ago and hasn't come back. She uncovers a small part of the window to look outside, but this is enough for the zombies to hear her and attack. They break through the window in the wood and grab her arm, quickly biting her. Jacob comes to the rescue and pulls her back, only for Karen to turn into a zombie and throw up lots of blood before fighting against Jacob's hold. At that moment Don appears behind her and hits her on the head to kill her, allowing Jacob to run away. More zombies are coming, so Don stays to hold them off to give the others the chance to flee too. Alice and the boy take the hallway but the zombies are starting to break through the other windows, so the duo runs upstairs, where the kid runs so fast that Alice loses track of him. Jeff, Sally, and Jacob try to escape through the cottage barn, but the zombies are coming after them too. Jeff holds the door so the other 2 can flee, and soon the door is kicked down, causing Jeff to die quickly under the zombies' attack. Sally cries as she watches her husband being devoured, and this delay allows the zombies to catch her too. Jacob isn't strong enough to pull her out of it and has to let go to close the hatch so he can escape through the window while Sally gets eaten as well. Downstairs, Don manages to bring down a bunch of zombies, but in the struggle he loses his weapon and has to start running as well. When he hears Alice scream, he runs to her and tries to convince her to escape, but Alice refuses to leave without the kid. As Don stays back, Alice finally finds the boy hiding, only for a zombie to cut in between them and Don. Alice begs for help, but Don is too scared so he closes the door and escapes through the window, leaving his wife and the kid with the zombies inside the house. With dozens of zombies chasing after him, Don runs across the farmland while ignoring Alice at the window. Eventually he reaches the river dock, where Jacob is trying to escape on a motorboat. Don gets on the boat first to start the motor while Jacob finishes untying it, but when he tries to jump in, he slips and falls into the water, where he's bitten by the zombies. He soon transforms and tries to attack Don, who kicks him down and finally starts the motorboat to kill Jacob with the propeller blades before safely sailing away. 15 days after the outbreak, Britain is quarantined. By day 28, the virus has destroyed the entire country. 5 days later, the zombies begin dying of starvation, and 11 weeks later, the USA sends NATO forces to London to start cleaning the area. 18 weeks later, Britain is finally declared free of infection, and by week 24, reconstruction begins thanks to all the Britons who escaped during the chaos being allowed to come back. American soldiers still patrol and protect London, like Sniper Doyle and helicopter pilot Flynn. All the soldiers are bored with nothing to fight and use their radios to joke with each other. On the latest plane, a bunch of kids come back from their school trip, which annoys Dr. Scarlet because she thinks it's too early for young people to be exposed. While running tests on all the new arrivals, she meets Tammy and Andy, who happen to be Don and Alice's children. Scarlet notices that Andy has different colored eyes, and he explains he takes after his mom. Once the siblings are confirmed to be healthy, they take the train and watch how soldiers keep burning down bodies, getting rid of toxic waste, and washing every corner of town. Eventually they reach a fortified repatriation zone known as District 1, where they finally reunite with their father Don. He takes them to his fancy apartment he got for being the caretaker of District 1, but the kids are more interested in knowing what happened to their mom. Don tells them how the zombies attacked the cottage but lies that he saw Alice getting killed, so there was nothing he could do to help. The night, Andy has a nightmare of Alice becoming a terrifying zombie, and when he wakes up he goes to sleep with his sister as he admits he's afraid of forgetting his mother's face. The next morning, Andy and Tammy wait for Don to leave for work and sneak out of the apartment without telling him. They leave the safe zone by carefully crossing the side of the bridge, which is seen by Doyle from his spot on a roof. While he alerts his team, the sibling runs through an unoccupied part of London, enjoying the lack of adults scolding them. When they find a delivery bike outside a pizzeria, Tammy goes inside to find the keys and is horrified to find rotting bodies everywhere. Covering her mouth and nose, Tammy carefully takes the keys from a body and gets startled by a bunch of roaches. Then she grabs a helmet too and reunites with her brother to leave together on the bike. As they drive through the city, they see all the damage left by the zombie attack and all the extra graves that were built in the last few months. Eventually they reach their old home, where they grab a picture of Alice and collect some of their old belongings. When Andy enters the attic, he finds the windows covered in lots of rotten food on a table. There also are weird marks and the siblings' names on the wall. Suddenly he sees someone in the mirror and thinks it's Tammy, but the person comes out and reveals to be Alice, who has a bloodshot eye but otherwise is fine. Alice rushes to hug her son and at first Andy is happy, but soon Alice starts hugging him too strongly. At that moment the military arrive and take the kids away while capturing Alice. Sometime later, Alice is given a thorough shower and tied to a stretcher. Scarlet tries to ask her some questions, but Alice stays silent. Then Scarlet takes a blood sample and notices Alice was bitten, which makes no sense because she hasn't transformed. When Scarlet is done with the tests, she confirms that Alice carries the virus and can infect others, but she's somehow immune. This means she could be the key to creating a vaccine. However, the higher-ups want to kill her before she spreads the virus and tell Alice to do her testing later on the dead body. Meanwhile, the siblings are in quarantine and when Don comes to see them, they yell at him for lying. Feeling guilty, Don slips past the military security to visit Alice in the isolation room. He apologizes for running and explains he had reacted to panic, to which Alice responds with "I love you." Touched, Don returns the words and kisses his wife. Her saliva immediately infects Don, who starts feeling very sick and begins yelling in pain as he becomes a zombie. Alice is terrified but she's still tied up and can't escape from an incoming Don, who beats her up, bites her neck, and then crushes her eyes. Afterward Don attacks a bunch of guards, killing them with his bite before escaping from the hospital to spread the virus through District 1. When the higher-ups discover what happened, they move to a safety bunker and execute a lockdown called Code Red. While the soldiers in town get ready to fight, Tammy and Andy watch their guard cross the door, only to come back transformed into a zombie. He begins hitting the glass trying to reach them until his head suddenly explodes when Scarlet shoots him. Then she frees the kids and takes them with her, seeing all the bodies in the building as they run. Soon they end up in a desperate crowd trying to escape, and when the soldiers try to tell Scarlet that civilians must go through another door, she announces that the kids are top priority figures. An argument ensues and in the chaos, Andy gets separated from Scarlet and Tammy, getting pushed with other civilians into a safe room garage. Then the soldiers lock them all inside for their protection right before the power cuts out in the whole district. While waiting, Andy hears a noise and goes to check the door to find his zombie father covered in blood. Don goes crazy and shakes the door until he manages to break in, quickly jumping on the civilians to start biting them. Andy runs in panic and tries to hide while the virus begins to spread through the garage, causing people to panic and make the whole situation worse. Now Don isn't the only one biting people. Zombies keep appearing all over the room and making even more of them. Andy manages to climb on top of the crowd and crawls away until he reaches the ventilation system and hides in there. The rest of the people finally break the lock and take the stairs, which allows the zombies to also escape and continue to spread the virus. On the streets, enough emergency lights are turned on so the soldiers can run to the hospital and the snipers can provide cover. Soon the zombies reach the lobby, so Scarlett and Tammy begin running away while the soldiers open fire. Doyle and the other rooftop snipers kill zombie after zombie with admirable skill, but no matter how many they shoot, more keep coming out. It's also becoming hard to see who is infected and who isn't. They're supposed to shoot only the zombies, but seeing the chaos on the security cameras, the higher-ups admit they lost control and order the soldiers to kill everyone in sight. As the soldiers increase the fire and a massacre ensues, Andy comes out of the vents right into the middle of the chaos. Luckily he's in the sector watched by Doyle, who refuses to kill survivors. He proceeds to shoot every zombie around Andy and even the one that almost kills him, giving the kid the chance to escape with other survivors. A few zombies reach the roofs and begin killing other snipers, so after cleaning out the street, Doyle has no choice but to escape as well. The survivors run to hide inside a warehouse, where Andy reunites with Scarlett and Tammy and tells his sister about their dad. Soon Doyle shows up as well and offers to guide the survivors out of the area before the military kills them too. The group leaves the building through the back door and carefully sneaks through the streets, always making sure to stay in the dark so they won't be seen by other guards. When Flynn flies by with the helicopter, Doyle makes the group wait and distracts Flynn through the radio before making the group move again. Then Flynn drops some bad news. The military will be bombing all of District 1 in 4 minutes. Doyle convinces him to pick him up at Regent's Park, not telling him about the survivors. Afterward the group starts running toward the park, but a sniper kills one of the guys. The group rushes to hide but the sniper never stops shooting and a few more survivors get killed in the process. Scarlett gets a flesh wound, and now the only ones left are her, the siblings, Doyle, and a guy named Sam. Once they're hidden behind a wall, Doyle tries using the reflection of a piece of metal to find the sniper, who immediately shoots the object down. This makes Doyle realize the guy isn't an actual soldier, just a civilian panicking. Doyle asks Sam to run in zigzag to distract the shooter so he can kill him but Sam refuses, so Andy goes out instead. The zigzag running is enough to make an amateur fail all his shots and gives Doyle enough time to kill the guy with just one shot. Then Andy hides behind another wall and is shocked to see his father standing nearby, but before he can react, the group comes to pick him up and Don's image disappears. Then the group runs as fast as they can and climbs over a fence to get out of District 1 right before the area is bombed. Soon the whole area is blowing up, thousands of people are killed, and all of Scarlett's research for a cure gets destroyed. Flames go through the hospital windows and catch Alice, burning her to death. The group continues to run through a tunnel that is being reached by the flames as well, but they manage to get out before the building explodes too. The generals watch it all from their bunker and are shocked to notice a large number of zombies have survived the bombing and are escaping into London, entering every building looking for victims and causing chaos everywhere. In the morning, Doyle's group finally reaches Regent's Park, which has been abandoned since the virus broke out. While they wait for Flynn, Scarlett tells Doyle about Alice and the possibility of the children carrying the same gene that could hopefully create a vaccine. At that moment Flynn contacts Doyle and tells him he's on his way, but they must watch out for the zombies that escaped. Doyle immediately makes everyone hide in the tall grass and Flynn lands nearby, but he gets angry when he sees the group and refuses to take them. As an argument ensues, Sam notices the zombies are coming closer so he runs to hold onto the chopper. A furious Flynn begins flying around with crazy moves intending to make Sam fall, and when the zombies finally reach the park, he brings the helicopter down and starts killing the zombies using the rotor blades. Lots of blood and guts cover the tall grass, but a few zombies still manage to survive and begin chasing Doyle, Scarlett, and the kids. Sam eventually falls and since he's covered in blood, he probably becomes a zombie as well. The group keeps on running as fast as they can while Doyle occasionally turns around to shoot at the zombies that get too close. Flynn tells Doyle to meet him at the Wembley Stadium but insists on ditching the others. When they turn around a corner, the group is shocked to discover the military has begun pumping gas into the city, so they rush to hide inside a car. At that moment the zombies catch up to them and start shaking the vehicle, spreading their blood all over the windows. However, soon the gas reaches them and kills them all in seconds. Afterward a bunch of soldiers appear with flamethrowers to kill any survivors, so Doyle tries to start the car. Unfortunately it won't work, so Doyle goes out to push the vehicle by jump-starting, helping Scarlett and the kids escape but getting burned to death by the soldiers in the process. Scarlett takes over the wheel and drives through London as fast as possible, only to be seen by other military helicopters that open fire on them. After dodging a few bullets, Scarlett drives the car into the subway tunnels, then they continue on foot. The lower tunnels are very dark, so Scarlett uses Doyle's night vision scope to guide the children down an escalator. However, they step on some old bodies and slip, causing them to fall and get separated. As she walks through the bodies, Scarlett begins yelling the siblings' names and reunites with Tammy, but the noise allows a zombie to find them too. The creature takes Doyle's weapon and begins beating Scarlett up until she's dead. After the zombie is gone, Tammy picks up the weapon and is devastated to see Scarlett's body. Meanwhile, Andy ends up on a dark platform, where he's found by the zombie that killed Scarlett. The monster jumps on him and bites his neck, so by the time Tammy arrives it's too late. When the zombie raises his head, she's shocked to see it's her father, but after the initial hesitation she still shoots him to death. Then a crying Tammy checks on her brother, but Andy runs away in fear of infecting her. Tammy immediately follows him, and when Andy accidentally falls, Tammy finally checks on him to notice his eye is turning bloodshot just like Alice's, meaning he's also immune. Afterward, the siblings arrive at the stadium and give Flynn the bad news about Doyle. With no other choice, Flynn takes the kids away, flying over Britain to escape into mainland Europe. 28 days later, Flynn's helicopter is empty and abandoned in France with someone calling for help over the radio. Then a horde of zombies are shown running towards the Eiffel Tower, revealing that the virus has now spread outside Britain. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.